like I've said, a lot of the things like the first light bulbs, the tantalum light bulbs, and which are like titanium, like tantalum. It's a periodic whatever, it's an element or whatever. But most metals are makeups of different elements. And the DC powered generators that were steam powered, and the word light, like the word light, I put myself in it, my L. I put an L in a lot of things. A lot of the things that I had done, that I knew I had done, companies I had owned, I'd put a little L in there, or LS, or I just put S sometimes. But I'd always use, or I'd use a letter for my name or something like that. I did a lot of companies. Well, at first they were just numbers, and then we did letters, and then I did words. It was a progressive thing. So slowly we just did this and did that. So a lot of words also like light, and like the Lusitania, and like I said, there's Lusitania had the air service as well as the ship service. But then I changed it over and kind of separated them when the ship sank or whatever. We scrapped out a bunch of ships, and so we took the ships, sold them, and put the money into aircraft or whatever, or something like that, and had the aircraft built, so they could have a good air service. Because I had the Titanic and the White Star Alliance fleet, and I had like three different giant ship companies. It's like I don't need three different giant ship companies, so I just kind of, and some of these I didn't really want them to be taken over by somebody else because they would just use them for piracy or something stupid. So I just had the ships melted down or scrapped, a lot of times. And then actually, sometimes I actually turned, it's like pilot. There was ship captains and ship pilots, and eventually I actually just was because aircraft were so new and everything else like that it's like, well, nobody knows how to fly. So I was like, well, I have these people which have been good ship captains and good at stuff. So I actually put them to school, and they actually went from being shipping ship captains to basically flight crews. That's another thing that a lot of people would find in their past. It's like, well, my grandpa was a pilot. It's like, no, actually, he was a ship captain, and then he became a pilot, an aircraft pilot. So there was like whole crews of ships that became like aircraft people. They did passenger service and stuff like that on the seas, and then afterwards they were retrained to become pilots of aircraft. So you actually see that pilots and stewardesses and stuff like that. So a lot. So at least a couple of my shipping companies actually were transferred over from being ships and boats to aircraft. A lot of very surprised people. It's like a lot of people were like, "Well, I don't really know how to fly a plane." Well, you're gonna learn. So don't worry. And I had the best trainers and the best teachers, and they learned how to fly, and they did very well at flying. It's just that the kind of person you would trust with a great big ship, you want someone you can trust, and I knew I could trust those people, so I put them in the cockpit of an aircraft because a ship doesn't you can't exactly. It's hard to steal a ship. It's a lot easier to steal a very expensive aircraft because aircraft were really expensive. Of course, the ship is really expensive, but you have a big crew versus a small crew, and it's like anyway, whatever. Anyway, so a lot of ship captains, a lot of ship crews back in the old days actually became aircraft flight crews. So that's one thing that most people wouldn't know. It's like your grandfather actually started out on a sea ship, and then I was starting my aircraft company. So and because they had good records with me and good reliability ratings, I made them aircraft people because I wanted people that could. And besides, like those ship captains had always gotten the ship in time, in port, on time, and actually done a very good job. So I was like, well, you'll do a very good job flying my aircraft. So, and they did. And so a lot of people were like, woohoo, yeah! Of course, then we had a war, and a lot of them died. And some of them died. I mean, I love them. Those guys. Like I said, those guys were the best. Absolute, fearless, best people. And like I said, some of the ship people were actually more fearless than the aircraft people because they had been through storms and they were seasoned people. So, like I say, the kind of people that did my missions and stuff like that, they were really good people. I mean, really good. Just the best, top quality people. Heroes. Unknown heroes. And I love them very, 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 very dearly. And I respected them a lot because I mean they fought for me, they backed me, and they were my people, and and they were reliable and honest, and the best people I ever worked with. So anyway, so some of those ship captains, yeah, ended up being aircraft captains and all that. So a little bit different situation, but like I said in the beginning, there was no standard, there was no order to anything. You know, it was the first time we were doing it. We were like, a lot of those people were like, we're making history here, and because they really were, we were making history. Like the first air service, yes, LS Lucifer Star, the very first one was mine, and yeah, and they learned how to fly, and then we started taking on passengers. And we started making money because a lot of people wanted to fly. Everyone wanted to fly. It was great. It almost killed the shipping industry because everyone just wanted to fly. Because why take a ship when you can take an aircraft for just a little bit more? It was about twice as much as a ship, basically. So, anyway. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, so that's how LS Lucifer, that's why there's a Lusitania aircraft Airbus service, because that's my old Airbus service left over from the Lusitania. The ship sank, and a couple of them got scrapped out, but or sold. But I turned it into a flight company because I like them, and besides they had a dispatch. A lot of these companies also had big dispatches and big and like mining camps and all that other stuff, because a lot of the ships that did the passenger service also mined the coal themselves, or had people mining the coal, so, and growing the food. So we just turned it over from one thing to the next. So anyway, yeah, so that's White Star Line. So Titanic lived on in a different way, probably. I mean, it became Carnival Cruise Company, and the Lusitania became an air service, because they both always basically the Titanic aircraft became Lusitania service or something like that, air service. We just consolidated, and the Titanic ships became the White Star Lines company, became the Carnival Cruise Company, because I was going to revamp it, because ticket sales went because no one really cared. You know, no one really wanted to spend the time. Although there were still some that languished around because it was still like being in a really nice hotel on the seas, but we were trying to revamp the image a little bit and do like more of a fun family atmosphere on the ships, not just a rich atmosphere. And we were starting to do the fun family atmosphere with the Titanic, but then we kind of kicked it up a notch with the newer ships with the Carnival Cruise Company. LS, me, yep. Once again, I did it again. Well, I mean, we grew our own food, we mined our own coal, and also had our own oil supply. So we had almost zero overhead. So other than payroll and other stuff, and we just paid the workers because, like, you know, I mean, we were clothing them, we were feeding them, we were putting shoes on their feet. So, and the pay was just something on top. So I mean, the Titanic and the Lusitania were very much colonies ships. They called them colony ships because there were so many people, and it was just you ate, you slept, the ship was your life, and people spent 20 or 30 years basically like there were 3 or 4 generations on the Titanic. A lot of my ships were also what they call generation ships because their fathers served on it, their brothers served on it, their sons served on it, you know, their relatives served on it, you know, because the ships were so big, you know, like a 300 or 400 crew ship. Some crews even went up to like 240 crews, and then like 2,000 or 3,000 passengers. So it's huge. So anyway, so a lot of people like grew up and died on, ow, my neck, grew up and died on my ship, or retired, you know. I even let some people retire on my ship. There's a couple people where they had served so long, like their whole life, and they didn't really have anywhere to go. So, but they were old, and so I was like, well, give them one of the cabins. So there's some old people that were just living on my ship. You know, they're the old ship captains, and they were just living on my ship because they didn't have anywhere to go. You know, they had saved some money, but I mean, they had lived on my ship their whole lives, and so I wasn't going to kick them out. Like I say, I wouldn't. The other people would have kicked them off the ship, but I wouldn't do that. It's like they spent their whole life on that ship, so they could stay on that ship as long as they wanted. So, anyway, so they had little cabins, and I think when we were finally decommissioning the ships, we actually built houses for them, so they'd be taken care of. And I say that angrily because it's like,